Continuing with the idea of religion and ecology, as we said, John Muir is one of the early large-scale activist of environmental protection. Going back to 1967, Lynn White actually made pretty strong statements about the historic roots of our ecological crisis. It's worth reading this because immediately there was a pushback from the religious organizations and religious authorities. Lynn White says, the greatest spiritual revolutionary in Western history, St. Francis, proposed what he thought was an alternative Christian view of nature and man's relation to it. He tried to substitute the idea of equality of all creatures, including man, for the idea of man's limitless rule of creation. He failed. Both our present science and our present technology are so tinctured with orthodox Christian arrogance toward nature that no solution for our ecological crisis can be expected from them alone. That's a pretty harsh indictment. Since the roots of our trouble are so largely religious, the remedy must also be essentially religious, whether we call it that or not. So the idea that so many of our perceptions, especially in the Western world, came from biblical assertions of dominion over God and other forms of over nature and other forms of life, superiority over other forms of life, means the origin is religious, hence solution must also evolve within it. We must rethink and refeel our nature and destiny. The profoundly religious but heretical sense of the primitive Franciscans for the spiritual autonomy of all parts of nature may point a direction. I propose Francis as a patron saint for ecologists. What great idea, right? Obviously didn't sit well with many of the other religious figures like John B. Cobb Jr., who wrote a book on a theology of ecology, pointing out that in fact religion did provide guidance on treating ecology as part of God's creation, and theology of ecology was really a way to say that ecology is part of the religion as well. And he worked also with Herman Daly, who we mentioned before, the economist, who thought a lot about the role of man in the environment, sustainability, economy, development versus growth, what sustainability means in terms of how we go about creating wealth and so on. So they wrote this book called For the Common Good, redirecting the economy towards community, the environment, and a sustainable future. I really like Herman Daly's ideas. There are many of them. Here is one taken from this paper here. Ecological Economics Model. All human activities embedded within the environment. So usually there is the environment, there is economy, and there is sustainability, and somehow we try to find a common ground between them, whereas Herman Daly's idea is that you receive energy from the sun, which creates all the natural resources that we think about in the environment and the environment. So you get inputs of natural resources and energy for our human activity. Obviously recycling matters there, and there is natural loss because we are a dissipative system as a whole. But how do we control our outputs, our wastes? Okay, so human activity, including economy, food systems, energy production, transportation, everything has to fit within the environment as not thought of as economic activity trying to save the environment. Okay, it's the economy itself that has to worry about how to not convert natural resources irreversibly into junk. which is what we do with plastic and most of the things we build, right? They pile up somewhere in landfills, junkyards, and so on. The Yale Religious Forum, or the Yale Forum on Religion and Ecology, is an international, multi-religious project contributing to a new academic field and an engaged moral force of religious environmentalism. Religious environmentalism. You can see the wordings there. With its conferences, publications, monthly newsletter, and website, it explores religious worldviews, texts, and ethics in order to contribute to environmental solutions, along with science, policy, law, economics, and appropriate technology. So this is a fairly good effort of bringing together all religions across the world, their tenets on the environment, and then place it in the context of climate change to bring about solutions that are really integrated, as the Pope saw and as other religions also see, as we will see in a minute. So this is an article from Daedalus, the Journal of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, Religion and Ecology. Can the climate change? Nice wording, right? The climate of religion ecology has to change for us to accept climate change as a religious, ethical problem. So Yale Forum also has activities of all other religions coming there to find common ground for climate change solutions. So here it is, a news article on Hindu climate activists take lead on combating climate change. This is also under Yale Forum on Religion and Ecology. This is under Yale Climate Connections, Green Muslims, Eco-Islam. Eco-Islam and Evolving Climate Change Consciousness. I'm just showing these to say that everybody is now into it. This is the kind of change on which we can build and reach that moral dimension of climate change. In Buddhist economics, sustainability is more important than GDP. Bhutan leads this effort. There are ideas now coming on anthropocentrism and androcentrism being outdated and not very good in this context of religion and ethics and climate change. So in the anthropocentrism, man stands on top here, and subtly you can see that the woman is placed under man, because implicitly or explicitly, even religions have used words that would indicate androcentrism or androcentrism, or dominance of man over everything. Obviously now this is called ego and this is called eco by some people, where woman and man are part of this whole ecosystem. So this is anthropocosmism. Okay, we'll see what that means. So this idea of androcentrism is being dealt with under what is now called ecofeminism, and you can see the book here edited by Karen Warren, Women, Culture, Nature. So it's not just about feminism, but feminism in the context of climate change and environmentalism. Okay, this is something that talks about the convergences of deep ecology and ecofeminism, and of course the critical difference is in the way it is seen here. Deep ecology has always focused on human-nature relationship, whereas ecofeminism says we must focus on human-nature relationship via human-human relationship. So man, woman, man, other, and all these other realizations we have about female, male not being the only two sexes, but there are these other categories that we have to deal with. Others are, of course, critical of prevailing environmental philosophy, also critical of prevailing environmental philosophy, not including the moral and ethical dimensions, critical of the domination of nature, critical of the domination of nature. Okay, so the idea is that there are movements growing from bottom up, or have already been going on for over a century in terms of Sierra Club, which can be used to build this religion and ecology movement to give it the ethical dimension.